Welcome back, bookish people. My name is Liz, and I'll be your host. This is my podcast where I talk about books, authorship, and all the different parts of the creative process. And today we're deep diving into the world of getting and receiving reviews. So I have the wonderful M.H. Elrich, and she is a Christian fantasy author, reader, otaku, and teacher who wears too many hats. In her spare time, she watches TV with her husband, rides horses, and travels to places with lots of trees. Her work has been featured in two separate books, Finding God in Anime and Where Giants Fall. And her stories have won several awards at the Kern Country Fair. She is currently writing and publishing another one of her series, Daughters of Tamara. And for more information on her, don't forget to check out the episode show notes where you can find her website, her Goodreads, and Instagram. Now that you know a little bit about MH, let's jump right into the episode where we can learn more about her and the importance of reviews. Welcome, MH. I am so excited to have you on the show. I'm just really excited to talk to you today.
I'm excited to be here.
So, I love to welcome folks by asking them what I call a bookish question. And I had a completely different question until I reread your bio, and you have this wonderful book called Finding God in Anime. And so, my question for you would be if you had to recommend an anime or a manga for somebody, what would be your recommendation?
Oh, that's a hard one because there are many, many good ones. But if you're
Mhm.
just starting out, I always say to the people who are just starting out in anime and want to try it for the first time to watch a movie like Howl's Moving Castle.
Oh,
Because, yeah, anything Studio Ghibli is really very sweet, has a great story and beautiful art. But
yeah.
if if you're more into romance, probably something like Fruits Basket or Kami-sama Kiss would be a good recommendation. But if you're more into action, you might like Demon Slayer or Full Metal Alchemist. So it really depends on your interests and what you enjoy doing. But I always say to any newbie or beginner, start with the Studio Ghibli movies just because they are so good and they have such a precious message. So that's where I usually recommend people start.
Oh my gosh, like so many great recommendations. I will not pick your brain more about that because we are here to talk about reviews and your author journey. And so please, 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 please share with us, how did you become an author? How did this journey start for you?
I am also a teacher, and my second grade teacher inspired me to write way back when by just asking us to create little stories, with paperback that you staple together with construction paper. And
Yes.
so if you're a teacher out there going, "Man, can I inspire these students to ever become more than, just ordinary people?" Let this be an encouragement to you because that second grade little story with construction paper started the journey that I would know to become a writing journey and becoming an author. I always knew I wanted to finish and publish a book, and I decided to go with the path of self publishing. I know that's not for everyone, but just after doing some research, I realized I really wanted to have control of my art and my work and just everything involved in it. So I went down that path, and a friend really encouraged me to finish my first draft of my story
Hmm.
when I was an adult. And that was the hardest hurdle to overcome. And I'm sure you understand that is finishing a book is the hardest hurdle. And then
Girl.
so yeah, editing and cover design and all those things don't take as much time, I feel like, as finishing the first one. Then editing takes the next chunk, but publishing and everything else was actually pretty smooth sailing. So since then, I have come out with two books, one novella, one collection of short stories. I'm a part of an anthology, and like you said, I'm part of the Finding God in Anime, Volume 2. So I feel like from that point in 2019, 2018, when I first published, God
Yeah.
has really just blessed me and really grown it from the
Lovely.
ground up.
I love that. I love that. And I love that you mentioned self-publishing. Earlier in the season, we talked a lot about like traditional publishing. And so it's nice to kind of see on the other side because it is a lot of work. And so it's nice to see you still smiling after that journey.
Yeah, it's a long journey, but I feel like if I didn't have the support of the author community online and my best friend who is also a writer, I wouldn't
Mm,
be where I am today. That community really helped me get
yeah.
to publishing and writing and doing all of my own work and things with my book.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I want to talk a little bit about your services because you also provide services on your website. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I tend to help people either launch their books, usually people who have already built a platform, so they already have some followers or a street team. So I coordinate with their street team to help launch their book. And then I also enjoy editing blurbs and short stories and things that are relatively short,
Mm-hmm.
just because I can, as an English teacher, obviously have that eye for grammar and spelling mistakes, but I also love to look at something and suggest ways to make it better and improve. I've helped many authors with their short stories, and even just young writers, any stage of writing. As an English teacher as well, I've helped people with their essays, so I do that. And then finally, I've helped people with their newsletters. So usually, what
Mm,
I will do is either help them write a newsletter, help them start a newsletter, help anything involved with email newsletters. So I tend to offer those services for any authors or writers in need of those sort of things so that they can get to writing and publishing their own books. You want them to focus more on that rather than all the extraneous things.
absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned newsletters because we really haven't had a lot of time on the podcast to talk about that, the importance of a newsletter. But uh, as someone who self-publishes, can you share why it's important to have a newsletter and that process?
Honestly, newsletters are how I have sold a lot of my digital books. So, paperbacks I can usually sell in person at fairs, at bookstores, at things like that. But my digital books, I have tended to sell via newsletter swaps, is what they're called. So, I joined Story Origin, and we'll talk about that later because they also have a book review option. But I joined that service, and from that point on, I could find authors who were in my genre to swap exchanges with. So we exchange mentions of each other's books, and we share with our audiences so that we can work together to spread the word about each other's books. And I've also grown my email list using a service like that by offering what's called a reader magnet, which is basically a free ebook that people can get from joining your email list. And I have one as well. So if anyone wanted to join my email list, they can using that free ebook. But that's how I usually built up my email list, was using a service like Story Origin to build it and then being able to sell then my books to those readers. And from that, I have built a great community that is not owned by a social media company or run by anybody who could possibly ban me one day just
Mm-hmm.
because. So I do help and support authors who are great at social media, and I am on social media, but I do feel like it's very necessary as an author to have a newsletter because I have found that it is very effective for me to sell books, and it's very effective for me to gain readership that I wouldn't have otherwise.
Absolutely. And, listeners, full disclosure, I used to be like anti newsletter, like, I don't want to do it. However, if Facebook, TikTok, whoever goes down, you have your readers. And it's nice because sometimes they'll email you and be like, oh, I like that post, or when is your book coming out? And that really helps to fuel the process and keep you going. So if you're a listener and you're on someone's email list, send them like a word of encouragement. That's always really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you don't have to make your newsletter boring. In fact, most people who say when you create a newsletter, you want to be interesting and make it so that your readers want to open your newsletter.
Right.
So I do talk about what I'm doing and what I'm writing and other books, but I also tend to go with themes. So, like this theme this month was Shakespeare and talking about, like what Shakespeare plays have you read, and just something that creates a fun conversation with my readers. And many have told me that they look forward to opening my newsletters because it's interesting and it's fun.
Lovely.
Yeah. And so I feel like that's very important for authors to know is you can personalize it so it's not just, oh, this is what I'm writing right now. This is what other people have written, but instead making it interesting and thematic.
I love that. I love that. And just switching gears a little bit, have newsletters helped you with the review process and getting reviews? And well, before that, can you tell us why are reviews important?
So reviews are important because they're what's called social proof. So basically proof to other people that your books are good, that they are worth reading and taking a risk on, and
Hmm.
they show others and that, oh, it's not just your mom and dad who have read it and recommended it, but it's also other people who enjoy reading books. So they're good for social proof. And then I would say that Story Origin has helped me find reviewers. They
Mm,
have a review function. You can list your books there to their directory. And from that point on, people can apply to review your book. And then they will also remind people to review the book. I believe BookFunnel also has that option, but it's something to that takes that work out of the author's hands and helps
right.
it have an automated process. So I have gained a few newsletter subscribers that are now
Really?
avid fans. Yes, avid fans of my work. And every time I come out with something or say, hey, can I look for reviewers? They are the first to volunteer. So this is something small, I'm only starting out small, but from that point I have gotten reviews in my newsletter. But I wouldn't say that's the only way I get reviews.
Mm. Can you share kind of like if someone's like, okay, like when is the best time to ask for reviews? Is it when the work has been out a while, before it comes out? Like, what should their strategy be?
I If you have not already published your book and are getting ready to publish, that is the best time to ask for people to read and review your book in what's called an advanced reader copy, for commonly called an ARC, okay? And that is the best time to ask for a review. It's also the best time to ask for endorsements from other authors for your work. However, I don't want people to despair if you've already published a book and you don't have any reviews yet, because honestly, when I was first starting out, especially with my first book, I didn't realize, oh, you should get people ahead of time and you should get them to read it ahead of time and review your book. I had no idea until after I was already published. And since then, I have literally fought and scraped for every single review I have. I have not reached that coveted 100 number that I think every author wants to reach. I'll be honest about that. But the reviews I do have are ones that I have personally recruited almost every single person that has reviewed that on Amazon or on Goodreads. Goodreads, though, is a bit different because I have more there because people can just rate a book and not just leave
Hmm.
a review. And I think Amazon is also bringing in that system where they can just leave a rating and not a review. There's pros and cons to that.
Can
Obviously,
you
if
share a
someone
little bit about that?
yeah, absolutely. If someone leaves a rating of, 2 stars and then doesn't leave a review, it can be difficult for you as an author to know, why did they rate it that low? And sometimes I've often wondered, are those people even real? Because they won't have a
Mm,
profile
true.
picture. It's like,
Mhm.
is this just a bot who decided I don't like your book, so I'm just going to rate it 2 stars? I don't know. But on the other hand, for many, I would say normal people who can't think of what to write for a review or just are busy, a rating system is good because then they can just go, okay, I rate it 5 stars, and it will lift your overall rating score. So when you look at any book on Amazon or on Goodreads, you can see kind of what the rating score is, and it usually will say, 4 out of 5 or 3.5 out of 5 stars. And that will give you a better rating in the terms of a reader that's trying to find you. So ratings are good, but they also have, the downside of, well, if someone gives you a 2-star rating and doesn't write a review, you have no idea why. So
The regular season is heating up. New stars are emerging, and that means more opportunities to win up to 25 times your cash on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projection on a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's that easy. Let it fly to turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Watch your favorite players and get paid doing it this basketball season. See your entries make progress during the game or make new entries for the second half and the fourth quarter. 3-pointers, assists, rebounds, and everything in between are yours for the taking. Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use code GET100. That's code GET100 on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
so there's good
Mhm.
things about it and negative things, but I like it. I like Goodreads and using Goodreads for that purpose of reading and reviewing books. And then I enjoy trying to help get people to read my books so that I can get that feedback. Because as an author, we all want to know, hey, did this resonate with you? We
Right.
tried our best, but did it finally work? I think that's why we like reviews. It tells us, okay, yes, you did like it, and it can be as simple as
Mhm.
that.
Absolutely. Because I was gonna pick your brain and see, like, have reviews helped as far as like motivation and encouragement, like, the emotional aspect, does that kind of help you be motivated to continue to the next project?
Oh, absolutely. Because that one person or two people, even if it's something small, those people are looking forward to your next book. Those people want to read what you've written and they enjoy it. It validates your writing and it is encouraging to an author. That's why, I encourage even ordinary people, hey, even if you just put I love it as your review, that is something that means the world to the author. That you even took the time to say I love this book on social media or on Amazon or on Goodreads because it's encouraging when writing is hard. It's a long game and it's a lot of perseverance. And if you don't
Mhm.
have those things to encourage you, it can be hard to keep going.
Absolutely, absolutely. So many words of wisdom. Um, MH, please share with us, like, if someone is listening and they're just like, wow, I'm like really encouraged by your work, and they want to read more. Where should they start? What is the first book of yours that they should pick up?
I would recommend starting with A Tanya's Worth. It's the first book in my series. And it will give you the background and the world of my all the rest of my stories that are set in it. So I would recommend starting there.
Awesome. And where can folks pick that up and leave a review?
You can pick it up on Amazon, and I have also physical copies that I can sell to you. So if you email me, I can always send you a signed copy. That one is a lot more personal and easier for me to send out to you and just give you that kind of personalization.
I love it. I love it. And if y'all missed any of that, if you check out the episode show notes, you can find all of the ways to connect with MH. One other question is, what would you say to someone who they don't have reviews or they have a bad review, right? How can they stay encouraged and motivated on this journey?
You know, I would recommend first, in order to get reviews, you really need to build relationships with readers and authors, which means that you need to be reading and reviewing other people's books that are in your
Mm,
genre first. So you shouldn't just be asking for reviews, you should be a reviewer yourself.
I
And I
love
see
that.
many authors who don't do that extra step, who don't go and review and read other people's books, and they struggle to get reviews and wonder why.
Mm,
So don't be afraid to do that, and don't be afraid to ask people for reviews directly. That's oftentimes the best way to get a review. As for addressing negative reviews, I always say take it with a grain of salt. If they have something that you can legitimately read and go, okay, that was true, then you can take
mhm,
that and make corrections or fix whatever it is. But if you look at it and think of this is ridiculous, then you should ignore it, because there's always
mm,
going to be, some sort of hater out there who won't like your style or won't like what you are having to say. Don't let that get you down. If you have the majority of your reviewers saying, we like this book, it's a great book, and then you shouldn't worry about it, because obviously your book is appealing to some people, and just that one random person didn't like it. Okay. Your book isn't everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay.
I like that. Good place to end, right? Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just nice to hear that.
Yeah.
MH, it has been wonderful to have you. You've given us so many practical steps on how to obtain reviews. Um, you have various works that we can get to know you from, whether it is the physical, the ebook, the Velas, and listeners, please check out all of that. And again, leave a review. MH, any last words that you want to leave us with before I ask my last question?
Sure. I would say just don't give up, you know? You have to persevere. This is a long game, and if your dream is to be an author and to have other people read your books, keep going. You will succeed. It just takes a while, and it's slow but steady wins the race. It's really true.
Absolutely. Great words to end on. MH, my last question is I like to leave folks with a word or a phrase of inspiration that we can use when we are doing our writing prompts, when we are creating, whether that's cooking, music, or however we process our inspiration. So if you had to leave us with a word or phrase, what would you leave us with?
Keep writing,
Okay.
finish, finish the race. My friend told me the very first time I ever tried to finish a book, she just said, "Finish. Don't worry
Mm,
about editing. Keep writing. Don't give up." Those would be the phrases I would tell someone.
I love it. So, listeners, stay tuned to the end of this episode to see what I do with the prompt. Keep writing, finish the race. Thank you so much, MH, and have a great rest of your day.
You too.
It's like a dance, a tempo of rapidly progressing keys, accelerating and falling with each crescendo of perfectly orchestrated notes. Each percussion is a character. Each clang of the cymbals is a sensory detail, filling the space. The melodic strings of the harp are carefully curated plot lines. Keep writing though the notes aren't lining up, pushing past the missteps in the text. Keep writing, getting stuck in the repetitive loop, some things missing from the orchestra, but I won't know what it is unless I keep writing. Keep pushing until one harmony syncs with the next, falling in line, pushing until we get to the finish line. Keep writing, keep finding the music in the words, keep searching for the melody amongst the characters, pushing and pulling, each one fighting for their solo, each one orchestrated by the author, stirring and directing the course of the story.